Today we are making Lily of the Valley. Hi, and welcome back to my craft room. My name is Kelsey. I also call myself Dinosaur Mama, and today we are making the May flower, the Lily of the Valley. There are actually two flowers for May. The other one is Hawthorn, and I will be making that later in the month. And I wanted to start with Lily of the Valley. It's a great flower. It's very unique and different from any of the other flowers I've ever made, and I'm really glad to have it a part of this Flower of the Month series. If you're looking for any of the previous months, I will have them all linked down below, and if you're new to my craft room, make sure to check the description because that's where I'll have the link to my blog for the free flower SVG file. If you're ready, let's jump over into Cricut Design Space and get started. Okay, so each Lily of the Valley flower, it's just one flower and you can multiply it as many times as you'd like. You're going to ungroup to start, and then you're going to want to ungroup one more time. And then this last one down here is going to have two layers, the Lily of the Valley cuts and then the Lily of the Valley flower part. The only thing you'll have to do here is attach. These are sized to 1.5 inches, and this actually will make about a 0.5 inch flower, which is a little bit bigger than a real Lily of the Valley flower. But you can size it down if you want to, just make sure you size the whole flower. And then when you're ready, you'll hit make, and you can adjust your project copies right up top here. So when I did my little Google search, it said that most Lily of the Valley flowers on one strand, I guess you would call it, have anywhere from 5 to 10. So you can make however many you want and just hit apply and go from there. I'm going to cut mine out in medium cardstock on the fast mode. So the only thing you really have to do is adjust any sizing that you want to do, add on those basic cuts, make sure it's attached, and then send over. Let's look at this in Silhouette Studio and get started on assembly. Okay, so in Silhouette Studio, again, this is grouped together, so you can ungroup just by right-clicking and hit ungroup. And now, when working in Silhouette Studio, I'm going to ungroup one more time. You are going to want to go to send. So again, you're going to set up the same way, change any colors, any sizing first. And then you're going to want to work with line. Now what I would do is I would pull this off, and all of these are cut lines, so just make sure everything's turned on. You can also work in simple because it's just cut lines. So really, as long as you don't move anything around, like ungroup this one flower, you should be good to go. Now again, you're going to want to duplicate. So the way that I would do that is go to my duplicate panel right here, and I would just duplicate like this, right? Or like this. So whatever you need to do, and make as many copies as you'd like, and then make sure that you, nest if you need to on there, and then send over. And that's the setup there. All right, let's get started on our assembly. All right, so you can see I already have some of them done. So I did make these a few times before I figured out the best way, in my opinion, to make them. So the first thing that I do is I take a ball tool and I roll around just the edges so that this gives us our little flip at the end of the petals out. So you're gonna do that on all the edges. I'm using a very, very, very small ball tool. Then I flip it over and I start rolling in the center and also onto those petals, but not too much where I'm decurling the edges we just did. So I'm trying to give it that bell shape, but still have that flip on the edge. I really hope that makes sense. Let's do it one more time so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm using, again, a very small ball tool. I think it's the smallest one that I have, and I'm going around just the edges. So it's giving a little curl outwards on the petal points and the edge. So it's giving it a little flip, if you will. Then I flip over the petal and I just do the center of the petals. So I am going into them like up towards the top, but I'm also just rolling in the center to give it that bell shape. And that is how we shape our petals. So I will now jump forward to the centers and the assembly of the flowers. So for these little yellow centers, I'm just taking my small ball tool and kind of rounding them. I'm basically just putting them down on the foam and then pressing in with the ball tool. But really at the end of the day, we're gonna have to reshape them once we put them onto our floral wire. So just, that's also a heads up, but it's kind of like pre-shapes them a little bit. All right, let's build our flowers. So the first thing that I'm doing is just slightly curving my floral wire. And part of me wishes I had thinner floral wire. I'm using an 18 gauge. I kind of wish I had like a 16 or a 14 gauge that was a little bit thinner. And now I'm just grabbing my glue gun. This is totally optional and will 100% depend on your floral wire, but I'm putting like a little glue on the end so that it's easier for me to feed my flower onto the floral wire. So I am going to grab my tweezers and make my hole center a little bit bigger. Again, this will depend 100% on your floral wire and how big you need your hole to be. So I do provide a hole in the center, but you probably will have to adjust it. And now I'm going to slide this on gently. And yes, it will kind of like D-shape, but I'm trying to keep it still in that round. And then I'm going to add on my yellow center and slide that on as well. Now you might need to poke the hole bigger in this as well with your tweezers. And again, I did this like 10 times. So it did take me a little bit while to perfect it, but you want to poke your hole in the center, just make it a little bit bigger. Try not to rip them. And even if you do rip them, it's okay. You can always just kind of fix it once it's on to the floral wire. And I did find later on, if I use my tweezers, it was a little bit easier to place it onto that floral wire. So I am pushing it on, and again, you're going to have to like pop back up the center so that it's facing the right way. You can also go in from the other side, like start from the bottom and work your way around. So you would start with the yellow piece, work it around, and then the white piece and work it around. But I found that this way was just easier for me. And now I'm curling the center with some tweezers, the white square, and I'm just rounding it up so that it becomes a cylinder. And then what I found to be the easiest was just to add a little bit of hot glue onto the end of it, just one end, and then sticking this onto the end of your floral wire as your center. So it'll be the bell shape of the flower, the yellow center, and then this white end to stick on. And this will kind of attach it on so that it doesn't slide all around. You can also add some glue on the top of your bell to make sure that it doesn't slide. So let's just do that one more time for assembly. So I have my floral wire here that I am bending. Again, you can use your bone tool to make it into that curved shape, or you can use your fingers. I am going to poke my hole so that it's a little bit bigger into my bell shape of my flower with my tweezers. And again, we're gonna have to reshape this once we put it on anyway. I'm sliding in my floral wire into my bell shape. And then I am going to grab my yellow center, and I'm making this slightly bigger as well. And then I'm going to use my tweezers to hold this and slide it on to my floral wire next so that it's facing outwards and down towards the center. Now with this one, once it was on and I slid it up just a little bit, I also added in a little bit of hot glue. You could also use craft glue here if it's a little bit easier, because my hot glue gun's a little bit bulky. I wish it wasn't, but it is. I accidentally bought the wrong tip one. I was trying to replace my Lynn Lily and I just bought the wrong Sherbander, and I wasn't going to spend another $20 on another hot glue gun. And so now I'm sliding back down my flower, and now we are going to add on our center where it's the rectangle or the square. So this is where we're at right now. And we are going to grab a square piece and round it with our tweezers and make a cylinder. Just make sure it has a big enough hole that you can slide it onto your floral wire. So there's my little cylinder. And now I'm going to add a dollop of hot glue to one end of that, and we are going to slide it on. This is what I have found to be the simplest way to do this. This is one of the most complicated flowers I feel like I've made. And, you know, I guess there's definitely work to be done on them. I don't know. I'm sure someone else maybe has a cleaner version of this. I'm still learning how to work with floral tape. But I was pretty proud of how these came out. So I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you like making them. And so I had my dollop of hot glue on there, and I just slid that on, and here is our little flower. So now we can start, once you have all of them ready to go, we can start putting them together with the floral tape. So let's jump to that. Oh, and I should mention that you can cut with your scissors or with floral wire cutters. Just give yourself a few inches, and you can kind of make different heights with all of your different floral wire. So I should have mentioned that earlier. So I don't love floral tape. I don't know. I think it gives me like a weird feeling on my fingers because it's sticky. Like I don't know. I don't love it. And so I start basically like at the bottom trying to wrap it around so that, and I'm on the struggle bus here. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Like I said, I just don't like using it. I don't know how to use it properly. So if you have any floral tape tips, I would love them. but I'm going to wrap them going up so that they just attach together. You can also, I guess, use hot glue, but this I just have found to be the easiest way to do it. I probably could have added in some more floral tape right here on the other one just to make it look a little bit more cohesive, and probably even some floral tape down like each hook, I guess you can say. But I'm just wrapping it tightly around them and attaching each layer with the floral tape as I go up. So it's just a way to bring them together, and it is nice because they're relatively loose that you can like adjust them as you go. So just use your floral tape to wrap around the wires and add in your layers, and you're just attaching them together with it. So it's easy to do, but also not easy to do. I hope that makes sense. So here I am, I'm going to speed through this, and I'm just wrapping and adding in layers as I go. So just be patient with yourself with the floral wire and the floral tape. Again, I maybe I'm just not understanding properly how to use floral tape, but I think I did a decent job. But you want to connect these so that they create these like bell hooks and these layers. And you can even attach like 2 of them together with more floral tape to create the final look. But these were such a unique, fun flower to create. And I still have one more flower to make for May, and it is hawthorn. So stay tuned for that. And here are my final Lily of the Valleys. I hope you enjoyed them. I think they're such a great filler flower, and so different, just so fun to make. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me as we made our Lily of the Valley. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and this unique flower. They were super fun to make. It took me a couple of trials, and so I hope you enjoyed my final project. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe for new craft projects every week, as well as tips and tricks for Cricut and Silhouette. Please give this a thumbs up if you learned something today. It helped me so much. And share this with one of your crafty friends who wants a new flower to make. I am so happy you are on this craft journey with me. Thank you, and I will see you soon in my craft room. Stay crafty.